Okay, so I believe I am recording now. Yes. All right, so welcome. Officially 16 minutes into class, and I think I've made my first goal, which is to be off um, of the schedule I set. So I think I've succeeded. So welcome to English 247, Creative Writing. This is our main page. So when you log on to Blackboard, it brings you into this announcements area, and that is a picture of the book we're using. I believe the book is available in a couple different formats. So you can get the paper copy, and you can also get it as a PDF online. And I think those are the two ways that you can order and buy this book. So here, we will meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 1 to 2:30. And right now, you do not have a weekly calendar, like laid out everything. And that's because I'm truly still thinking through some things. As I mentioned earlier off video, that I taught this class in 7 weeks. And so it was a lot of work in a little time, but I want to make sure that we are spending time on the work in this, the practices in this book, but also on the conferences. So you will get a more detailed weekly schedule. I hope I'll have it settled by Thursday. I'm going to ask for some input on that, so we'll see how that goes. But when you're offline, the main menu over here to the left, this has our Zoom session link. So this is one way. If you log on to Blackboard, that link will bring you right where you need to be. I believe you can also bookmark this link on your own page. So if you want to get to it without having to log on to Blackboard. And under the main content here, we have our course documents, and then you will start to see the weekly content appear. I did not want to go ahead and put 15 weeks up because that personally freaks me out. So the weeks you will start to see more than one at a time, but for this week, I just wanted to put up the current week and just focus on now, and then you'll start to see more. And then we have this area for mini lessons that right now has limited content, because I just don't want people like all over the place if I just put all this content out there and then they're all over the place. So I'm gonna release it as we need it. And then under this back matter, we have some other links that I think will be helpful that I didn't get a chance to have students use in the shorter condensed version of this course. So our main menu is kind of set up like a book. So there's this front matter, the main content, and the back matter. And front matter and back matter is I don't know, it's like technical language for people who are nerdy when it comes to understanding their text. So basically, front matter is just all the information you get out of a book before you get to the main content. So the cover, the table of contents, and introductions and stuff like that. And then you have the main content. And the back matter, if you're really invested, I try to avoid using the word like nerd or something. If you're truly invested, you hang out in the back matter of the book. That's where you have cool stuff like the index and subject keywords and glossaries and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's my online version of trying to imitate a book here. So I'm just gonna go into our week one. Oh, the other thing I try to do with the main menu, just for organizational purposes, I try to have it organized alphabetically. So I got to move this mini lesson. It just helps in my head to have things organized alphabetically. It helps a lot with the way that I think, and I just wanted to explain that because sometimes people are like, I don't see, why is this way? So I try to keep the main menu alphabetized. So yeah, as a person who has 1,000 thoughts at a time, as a attention deficit disorder learner, I need all the organization I can get. And also as a dyslexic learner, I need all the prep time I can get. And so that's why this main menu, you will see once I'm done moving things around, it'll be organized alphabetically. All right, so welcome to this week. I was supposed to be done with this part 10 minutes ago now. So when we come on to class and you're inside the current week, the habit is going to be the same. You're going to log on and then post some opening comment in the chat. And today I was supposed to do a course overview and some logistics, which is what I just got finished attempting to do here. And then you'll see the rest of the schedule for our time that day. The schedule is subject to change, but it keeps us at least some sort of regular routine. And what else? So inside this week, you'll have both days that we are working on, Tuesday and Thursday, and then you'll have an agenda. Don't get too comfortable with the agenda looking the same all the time, but what we do during that time period may be routine for a while, but then it changes, because we will be doing, of course, we will be discussing the work you do in our textbook, but you'll also be doing workshops later. And I'm hoping to have at least 1 or 2 guest speakers. So you do want to pay attention to the agenda as they pop up. Inside each week, I just give you another area to go ahead and log on to Zoom and then get your comments posted. So this link here, this is you can get to it from the main menu. It takes you to the course documents. There will be more course documents, but to get started, what I have here is the course syllabus. And I have to double check. I think I have the incorrect office hours listed in this syllabus. So I have to double check that. So the course syllabus, and then I'm not sure if people have the text or not. So I did post the first chapter from the seller's book. So it's a PDF file, and I don't know what they want me to do. I'm going to ignore that. And I'm not sure why my whole, oh, is it just taking a while to download? I don't know.
It won't let you,
oh, I got to log in again.
Yeah, you have to log
I
in
saw
to
that.
the pages.
Okay, well, I will be working on that while you're doing some in-class work to make sure you can access this, just the first chapter. So I'm supposed to be able to do that. And again, I'm not sure how many people don't have access to it, but gonna do my best to make sure you can. So I'm just gonna open the syllabus here to see if I did put the right office hours in here. Or did I not put office hours at all? Yeah, I put the days, so I know I forgot something. So there are my office hours. The time should be there. I will add those, and I'll let you know. I will probably just, to make sure everyone has the correct version of the syllabus, I will replace the one that's on Blackboard here, but I'm also just gonna attach it in the email and send it to everyone. So my office hours are actually on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they will start immediately after class, and they will go from 2:30 to 5. So if you want to just make that note, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2:30 to 5. And those are office hours where you don't have to make an appointment or anything. You can just come to Zoom. I expect to be on Zoom during that time. You could also call. So, but the way I handle these office hours is that if I'm talking to someone via Zoom and someone calls, I will tell the person who calls they will be next in line. But yeah, these are open times. So if you want to make an appointment though, for additional help, you can do that at any time. I just don't make appointments during those office hours because that's open for everyone. If that makes sense. Let's see, I want to go back to Blackboard. So I think I have made this available. Do what I want. Okay, so to make office hours, I believe I made this available. No, I did not yet. So I'm gonna get out of the student view because there's some things I have turned on for you all and some things I do not have turned on yet. So I need to turn this item on. And that's Blackboard. Actually, I'm not gonna take the time to do it right now. I'll do it once I send you to your activity and show you how to make an appointment. So don't want to waste our time. I want to get you to doing something. Okay, the thing I want to get us doing, and that is interviews. So I want you to, I'm gonna send you to groups, small groups with about, hopefully just 2 people in a group. It depends on how many numbers we have. I may have a group with 3 people in it. But I'm gonna pair you up and we're gonna do an icebreaker. Yay, nobody likes those. So the icebreaker we're going to do is writer profiles. I think I'm gonna have to give you more than 10 minutes. I'm gonna give you, and I fully expect the time you have to, I don't expect some great, awesome writer profiles because you've only been together for somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes for this icebreaker. But what I'm gonna ask you to do is to use the questions that I have here on the screen. I'm gonna copy and paste them into the chat area so you can still see them when you're in your small groups. I'm gonna ask you to use a combination of these questions to interview each other and write an introduction about that person. You're going to introduce the class to that person by creating a short profile. So like an author profile. So using a combination of these questions, you're going to type something up and you're going to post that profile on Blackboard. So you're going to gather the information today, but you're going to type up that profile and you will have it posted by the time you get to class on Thursday. So you're not writing today, you're just getting this information. And nobody likes icebreakers, but I know I shouldn't say that. Some people do. I personally do not like breaking the ice. It's awkward.
I don't really mind it one way or another.
It's awkward, but it helps us get to know each other. So I'm glad, and I think this one will work kind of well. So I'm going to break you up into groups, and you're going to be in pairs. Some of you may get stuck with 3 people, so you're smart enough, you can figure all that out. And then you're going to write a profile. I'm sorry, a writer like profile. So what I'm bringing up on the page here is a profile for a poet that I really I liked. Mainly, I like his work, and he's also from my hometown. So he was born and raised in Detroit. So I'm looking for not more than a paragraph. So this is Dudley Randall, and so you can see how long his writer profile is. No, I am not asking none of us to do anything like that. I'm looking more like a paragraph or so, and you're going to use the content from those questions to create like a paragraph introduction. So some things I didn't tell you to ask is just kind of, you might ask or not, like, where the person is born and all that, but it's mainly from that collection of questions that I want you to try to get to know each other. So this was just a visual of like, I'm not asking you to write a lot. So what I'm going to do is put you into groups. It's going to be random. And you're going to have 2 people, and you are going to want to look at the chat area for the list of questions, and it's not going to look neat, but they will be there for you. Yeah, it's not going to let me add all of them. I don't like this. I'm gonna, but that's where you will need to look. Sorry, I was reading a comment to get the questions. So as I get to my breakout area here, I'm going to start recording because I don't need to record this part and put you in. So again, thank you all for doing the introductions, which took a different path than originally designed. And so I will update our agenda for today. We did do introductions and I showed you where the syllabus was. And I just want to do a few comments on some of the notes that I've taken. So welcome. And as far as I guess the expectations for this course, we will be doing a lot of work out of this textbook. We're going to use 10 chapters out of the Sellers text. And normally during the class time, I will give you time to write. I usually give you some sort of writing prompt. And currently it looks like I have it set for about, not a whole hour, but somewhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes during class time. So while we're on Zoom, that you actually write or do some sort of research thing that's attached to creative writing. Now, we're not going to do that today just because we spent all that time getting to know each other. But I want you to have that in mind. And what I usually do is, so starting on Thursday, when we come together, I will put you in this group and you have about 25 to 30 minutes to write, and then you're in a small group. I say I got to fix my time. I have you write something and then you talk to each other about it, and then we come back to the large group. We're also going to be discussing some of the practices out of the textbook. So starting today, you should start writing the, let me see if I can find my, start with the practices in the textbook. Give me a second here so I can find my Sellers text. I think I have it somewhere. So this is the document I thought I attached, which gives us chapter 1. So the main thing that you're doing this semester is we're starting the semester with you doing practices out of the first 8 chapters of this book. And this first chapter, let me just go to the table of contents if I have that. Do I not? No, I think this is just the first chapter. Bear with me. Chapter 1. Okay, so I'm just going to stick with this and look at this chapter. So I will upload this attachment, so you should have access to the activity. So I just want to pull up one activity here. So the practices that you'll find in each chapter, they're not numbered, unfortunately, but you are expected to do every practice in the book. So the practice writing log is a huge portion of the course. So I have my syllabus. So I'm going to look at the actual work that you're doing. So the assignments, so you have this thing called the practice writing log. It's worth 320 points. And you have to complete the practice activities from chapters 1 through 8. The best way to approach this is just to consider completing a chapter a week. I will, in the schedule that I provide for you on Thursday, it literally is going to show you that basically for the first 10 weeks, we're going to be working on the first 8 to 10 chapters. But you have to do the practice activities out of chapters 1 through 8. All of them. Some of them have like 8, some of them have 18. They will be treated equally. The approach to doing them is to do the best you can with them and to complete them to the best of your ability. If for some reason you come across a practice that doesn't make sense to you, or you don't get it, I expect you to still have it numbered and have something written there for like, yeah, this is redundant for me. Like I already get it. I did most of this. So for example, there is a practice where you have to list various topics and ideas, and it asks you to list like 25. I'm good if you can only list 10, but you do your best to list 25. Many other practices ask you to come back and they ask you to start and then complete them later. For those kinds of practice activities, when you submit a chapter that has an activity like that, I expect to see you have started it. So in that practice activity, it will say, start a list and work on this throughout the course of the semester. So when I ask you to submit evidence that you have completed those practices, I will expect to see that you started it. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, could you please just put yes or no? And for the people who say no, I can explain more. And you can do that this is where we practice in that participants area. Just click, whether you get it or you don't get it. I'm not super hyper focused on did Alicia complete every single activity in chapter 6. I expect to see it numbered and an attempt. So the idea of how our textbook is set up is it does not necessarily, each chapter gives you elements to work on for fiction and poetry at the same time. So that's I think might be somewhat confusing, unique, or a disagreeable part of the semester, is that we're not only working on poems and then we're going to switch attention at some point to work on fiction. We're working on them both at the same time, because creative writing, no matter the genre that you're working on, they still use the same kinds of tools and elements. So you can write a dramatic poem, a dramatic flash fiction, a dramatic memoir. You need the tools to write dramatically. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm looking at some of the questions that are popping up. I love it. So do you have to type the practices? This is where you get creative. For some people, they like to type everything and submit them. For some people, that would be a horrible ask. So I'm going to open for you the work I did for chapter 1. So this is an example I have on the screen of me completing parts of the practices in chapter 1. So yes, I did type them up, but that's not how I started them. I actually just wrote them. So this is the fun part. I wrote them out, and then I took pictures of them. And then I could either submit these individual images of my work, right? But I do know how to use my phone to, what I do is email myself the images, and then I download them, I put them in this document. And so that is how, and then I just save this document, because I'm not grading this work. I'm seeing if you are working through the practices to build your skills. Where the evidence of how you did the practice come through, they come through when we share them with each other. We're not sharing all of them. When you present your fictional piece and your poem for the group, that's where this stuff accumulates. And so here's just an example. So this here is the same information. We just put it side by side as this. So over here I hand wrote it, over here I retyped it. And for me, I retyped it because it helped my brain. And so you can submit either version of this. What I need to be able to see is the chapter and the number. And again, the practices are not numbered in the text. So when I give you when I post the assignment and the schedule, it'll have the chapter and the number of practices that are in it. If you have a question at this point, just unmute yourself. You can post it in the chat, but also let's just unmute and then you can ask the question.
So do you want us to show the practices like at the end of the semester, or are they due weekly?
They will be due weekly, because if any of you are working on your procrastination skills, I am a professional procrastinator. And so as a professional procrastinator, I know it is best to show work as I go along. It makes it harder for me to let mountains of work build up. So I will be asking for the evidence that you've completed chapter 1, and this is where you can weigh in. So things are usually due in class on Tuesday and Thursday. When we are doing in-class workshops, that's going to be Tuesday and Thursday. When we're discussing some of the practices, that will be Tuesday and Thursday. However, to submit the evidence of these practices, logically, I should say you need to submit it on Tuesday or Thursday. So that would mean next Tuesday, you would submit the practices for chapter 1. So, and literally what I do to assess that is if there are 15 practices in chapter 1, whatever you submit, I'm looking for 15. So once I see 15, I'm like, you get credit for having completed the practice activities in chapter 1. But because I probably won't be collecting these until next week, Thursday, because today we're just kind of getting started. You don't have really a full week to get started on it. But yeah, the due dates will either be Tuesday or Thursday. And those will be clearly posted on Blackboard. There's going to be a link. So next week, Thursday, it'll be week 2. When you go into week 2, you will see there will be a link to say submit your practice log chapter 1 here, and you click it and you will upload whatever version, pictures or document, and that's how I know it's completed.
So we just do the practices, not the projects, right?
I haven't gotten to that part yet, so that's coming. So the practices are there are many of them, but they're the smaller pieces. For each chapter assigned 1 through 8, you also have to complete one of the writing projects. So let me get back to my syllabus here. And so where is it? So that's where he says there will be 8 writing projects that's one from each chapter. So at the end of a chapter, before the readings in that chapter, it lists projects, and there are different numbers. And for that, you can pick whichever project that you like to work on. And so a practice writing log will include all of the activities for a chapter and one of the writing projects. The writing project is always going to be your choice. And you should do the practice activities within a chapter or chapters, however fits your fancy. So you don't have to, as long as you have them done by it's time for you to submit. I mean, you can skip around the chapter. You don't have to go sequentially. If you get to a practice that hurts the inside of your brain, read through the material and go to a different practice and come back to it. I just say that because I know I had like a couple of students were like getting stuck at practices. I'm like, well, just go do a different one. And that might unhinge your mind so that you can come back and do this one you don't like or don't get. And so hopefully this starts to make sense. I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work, but you bought the book to use it. There are a couple other chapters that we're going to use for sure. We're using chapter 9. We're using that chapter once we get to the revising work, and we're using chapter 10. I will assign chapter 10 at different points in the semester. I don't say much about chapter 10 today because chapter 10 is really about different genres. And I don't want us to think about specific types of genres at this point. I want you to think about the tools you need to write creatively, no matter what genre you're writing for. Hopefully that makes sense. And that is what I wanted to make sure I talked about. That meaning the practice writing log is what I wanted to talk about today. We are weeks away from doing anything with the writing workshops, so I don't see any point of going over that today. But if you have questions, when we start class, that first 10 minutes of class, that's where you will come to the class session, and you can post comments to when you log on, and I can address questions as we go on. But the rest of these assignments, we will get to. The most important thing is to get started with the practices for chapter 1. And however as you decide to submit it, I mean, if one week you write and take pictures, that's fine, and another week you type them, that's fine. As long as I get the work, and what I can clearly see is that you completed it. So you have to number those items. Today, I said after class you would get access to a survey. I'm gonna hold off on that survey until the start of class on Thursday. And it's not hard. When you see surveys, you should complete them. These are easy participation points. The weekly quizzes that you're gonna get, they're really reflective quizzes. There are no wrong answers. The only wrong answer you could possibly give is just not to do it, or just be really just purposely try not to answer them, because the weekly quizzes are just about your ongoing learning. And so I won't assign any of this until Thursday, because today I just want people, I want to get chapter 1 up in place of where I have the link I thought I put it, so that everyone, I know at least today everyone will have access to chapter 1. We have 10 minutes left in class, and for that 10 minutes, I am actually going to return to what I'm supposed to be doing here from 10:20 to 10:30, and that is providing a little bit of a recap, but I am going to slip in something for you to think about for this mini lesson. So as I prepare the last 10 minutes to do that, if you have a question, let me get into, you can, I'm going to actually look in the chat area now. Just unmute yourself. I'm still recording this part. So it's important for you, at least this week, to make sure you stay on till the end of class. But if you have to log off early, I know you've logged off because I asked you to do something specific. And I'm just, go ahead.
I have work on Tuesdays and Thursdays, practically after we meet. Is it going to interfere with any work we have? Or?
I'm sorry, I didn't get your specific question.
I have work basically after, like on Tuesdays and Thursdays after we meet. Is it going to interfere, like if we have like something to do like after the meetings, is it going to interfere?
No, because after class, I mean, I have office hours after class. People are welcome to stay on, but after class, you just start working on your homework on your own time. Right. So between today and Thursday, this is what I'm asking people to do. 1, and I will always post the homework if I can get to the right area here. Yeah, I will post a recap for class, but I don't have anything specific for you to do except for begin working on chapter 1 practices.
Understood.
Yeah, and I'm going to put the correct link in the course document so everyone has access to the first chapter. Yep. So for homework, I want people to think about this first On Writing Well lesson. So what I want you to do is to review the PowerPoint I have here, and just go through the PowerPoint and answer these questions for yourself as you go through this. And we're going to start Thursday's class with a discussion of this mini lesson on writing well by William Zinsser. Other than that,
And to reiterate, that's on Blackboard, correct?
Yep. So where I have here on the screen now, everything you need for a week will be accessible within that week on Blackboard. So I will post a recap. I usually post a recap on the announcements page, but within this week, you have day one, our Zoom link. My things are out of order here. You'll have the course documents, and you'll have, there are two ways you can always get to mini lessons, because mini lessons we use throughout the course of the semester. So you can get to mini lessons from the main menu, but since I've introduced this week, you can get to it from within here. And then I ask you to explore the back matter on Blackboard. And all the back matter are these links to actual publications of fiction. That's some of it, many of it, much of it is current, some of it's not. And these are the free versions of these documents. So you can only get to some of those things. So your homework today really is to get started on the practices and check out the Zinsser, and this is where we're going to start on Thursday. And I will post a recap for class today. My recap will be posted by the end of the day because I have office hours after this, and you will, at the bottom of each week, you will see like a look ahead. So this is basically what we're doing next week. After we get done with things this week. So with that, we're 6 minutes left in class. This was a little clunky, but not as clunky as it could have been. So before you log off, what I need you to do is to post what's called an exit comment. And I ask you to do the same thing. Go to the chat area of Blackboard. Not Blackboard, chat area of our Zoom. Type in your last name. And you can post any sort of reflective thought, a question, something you want me to address or answer, but it's just how you say, I am officially leaving class. So we come to class with a comment and you leave class with a comment. And I use that for attendance. So also please, I will make sure I get the correct version of the syllabus with my office hours on it, and I'm going to email that to everyone.
Okay, and before we leave, someone did post in the chat, but I was wondering as well. So there's no writing profile that we need to write for Thursday, right?
We are not doing that. That is gone with the wind.
Okay.
That was just a beautiful failure.
Okay.
5 by 5.
All right, I'm going to start recording this. And when you read the syllabus, there is like this. We can talk about attendance on Thursday, but I do have a way for people to make up attendance if you can't make actual Zoom meeting because life happens. So we'll go over that, but on Thursday. Other than that, that's all I got. I will stay on because my office hours start.